Well, let's rock and roll. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for coming out to this All Candidates Forum, sponsored, of course, by the Downtown Business Revitalization Zone and, equally obviously, the Lethbridge Library, another in the series of candidate forums that the candidates have come to love and enjoy and treasure and hold close to their heart and nurture. It just states the obvious that a civic election's an important time. It's something that we all need to be taking seriously because these are the people who form the level of government closest to our daily lives. These are important people, and we need to treat them respectfully and listen carefully to what they have to say. To that end, I'd like to introduce, first of all, as part of our sponsoring group, the chair of the DBRZ, David Foster.
Thank you very much, everyone. I do agree with you, Doug, that this is a very important thing that we're doing here, and I'm very, very excited to see so many people out here for this debate. And on behalf of the Downtown BRZ, I would like to thank everybody for coming out, and I'm very much looking forward to the very lively debate between all of the candidates. Thank you.
And representing the Public Library, the CEO, Tony Vandenheuvel.
Welcome, everybody. It's great to see a turnout like this. We've hosted some of these events, and with the participation of everybody and the interest and involvement, it gives us confidence that the decisions that we're going to be making are going to be the right ones for the city. The Lethbridge Public Library is proud to partner with the BRZ. We want to connect people to the opportunities to have these type of exchanges, and I look forward to hearing what the candidates have to say this evening. Thank you.
This forum, besides obviously those of us in the room, is being shown live on a couple of important websites. One is downtownlethbridge.com and also southernalberta.com. Now, the broadcast is going to be recorded and it will be available on both of those websites tomorrow. So if you have something that you are a little bit unclear about tonight, by all means go online and double check it tomorrow. In addition, Shaw TV will be broadcasting this forum, and it will be shown Friday at 2 o'clock, Saturday at 5 o'clock, and Sunday at 8 o'clock on Channel 9. So we thank our friends at Shaw TV for that. The format tonight, and by the way, my name is Doug MacArthur. It says you introduced myself here, but the people to pay more attention to are our candidates. And the format of the evening is pretty straightforward. There will be a minute for each candidate to introduce themselves. We do have a timer who has a mean and snarly look to her. And we'll be riding roughshod upon all of the speakers. We're going to do this in alphabetical order. And so, to get things underway, I'd like to invite to the podium our first candidate for mayor, Farron Ellis.
Why, thank you. That's the warmest welcome I've gotten so far during this campaign. I thank the BRZ as well. It's good to see all of you here, especially good to see the College Youth Squad in attendance. The type of civics amongst the youth is required in Marta's classes, I know, so good to see you had you come here. I'm Farron Ellis, a political scientist, current city councilor, and a candidate for mayor. During my time as a member of your city council, I've done my best to reliably keep the commitments upon which I campaigned in 2010. These included providing thoughtful, responsible decision-making based on my knowledge of municipal government, of the political process, and my deep roots in Lethbridge. The platform I'm campaigning on today, and for this to earn your vote as mayor, is similar. It's based around the three themes of providing reasonable, responsible, and reliable leadership. It's also based now on my proven track record and my experience on council. Over the past 3 years, I've represented the best interests of Lethbridge residents by ensuring that we spend responsibly and that we minimize tax increases. During our budget process, I proposed a number of resolutions. The end result was the Lethbridge residents eventually received the lowest tax increases they have in over a decade. Thank you.
Thank you. Bridget Martins.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that you've all taken some time out of your evening to spend it with us and to get to know us better. It's really important, and I'm glad to see you're all engaged. I'm Bridget Mearns. In 2010, I ran for council. I laid out my priorities, being fiscal responsibility, being dedicated to Lethbridge, serving in the best interests of Lethbridge, being transparent and accountable, and also environmental responsibilities, and I made good on those, my objectives, and I'm still working on them. But the position of mayor is just one vote on council. It's a bigger job than that. And what that means is we also have to have other things that we need in a mayor outside of that. And I believe I have those qualifications, those skills, and the personality to make that happen. I'm talking specifically about leadership skills, being able to bring people together in a collaborative way so that we're making good decisions. Also about engaging our community so that you have an input in the decisions that we're making in a meaningful way. When I was on council, I did bring forward a resolution that we changed the way we did capital budgets, and I'm running out of time. The third thing is an advocacy piece. So being your advocate outside of the city limits, making sure that you have a strong voice at provincial and federal levels as well as other municipalities. We have a strong presence there, and we need to have a stronger voice in a way that's an advocacy role
please.
and not advocate or adversary. Thank you.
Curtis Simpson.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here, and thank you very much to the Downtown BRZ for holding this forum so we can air our views. I mean, it's not a lot of time, so I just want to touch on some very basic things. I'm a candidate for mayor, and I have a vision for the future. I have a vision for the city of Lethbridge, not for the next 4 years, but for the next 10 years, and the next 20 years, and the next 50 years. Now is the time to lay the groundwork, and part of that is to develop a successful, vibrant downtown core that the city can be proud of. It's also part of my mandate to make sure that we get a decent transit system that supports that downtown core. It supports the students and makes sure that we have the resources to bring students back to our lovely city and to keep them employed once they're here. Our arts and culture are also a major thing in the city. We need to keep the city beautiful. We need to keep it vibrant. We need to make sure there's things for people to do in this city, and that is what I'm running on this year. Hopefully you'll consider me for mayor. Thank you.
And Chris Spearman.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chris Spearman. I have 38 years of business experience. I have 30 years of community experience. I have 18 years of elected experience and 10 years of environmental management experience. I'm running for mayor because I think I can offer something to the city, something to you as citizens. I want to represent your interests. I want to be part of your success. I buy my boots downtown, I buy my clothes downtown, I buy my coffee downtown, I buy my watch downtown. I'm a downtown customer. I've even been known to buy a beer downtown. So I sit and chat with people. I like to engage citizens. I want to hear your views. You have the opportunity to elect a mayor that represents your interests. On October 21st, vote for Chris Spearman, the last name on the ballot, the right choice. Bring your ID and vote for me. Thank you very much.
We'll move on to the city council candidates, the councillor candidates, with Marco Bergeron.
Good evening, everybody. So, who I am? I'm a new face, of course, but my name is Marco Bergeron. So my wife and I have been married for 25 marvelous years, and we have 3 wonderful children. So I am a dependent natural health practitioner for 32 successful years, and me and my wife, my wife works in the French school administration. So one of the whole children is a teacher, another is a firefighter, and my youngest is interior designer. So what will I bring to the community? So after the long success as the school trustee within the education community, I realized I could do just much and more within the city council for the entire community. So my goal for the city council is first and family. I mean security, quality of life, and enjoyable activity. Secondly, it's diversity. So I mean culture, quality of employment, and support start business. So last is services. Thank you very much.
Our next candidate, Jeff Carlson.
Well, thanks everyone for attending tonight. On October 21st, we're going to be choosing the leadership to guide our community over the next 4 years, and it's important we make the best decisions possible. I'm Jeff Carlson, and I've been very proud and honored to be your alderman over the last 6 years. I'm here tonight to ask for your continued support as your councillor for the next 4. 6 years ago, I was elected on the platform of I Care, which stood for innovation, compassion, arts, recreation, and the environment. And I'm pleased to say that we've had great successes in each one of those areas, but there's still lots of work to be done, and I'm ready for that work. If you care for Lethbridge, please vote for Jeff Carlson. Together, we can continue building Lethbridge as the best place to live, work, play, and grow. Thank you.
Candidate Jeff Kaufman.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Jeffrey Kaufman. Over the past term as your representative on City Council, I have worked hard to support and encourage behaviors and activities intended to strengthen Council's role as a steward of your tax dollars. At the same time, I've listened to and worked with businesses and residents, those in the downtown core especially, trying to advocate, be a voice for them, and help deal with those especially who are challenged by the traditional bureaucracy and the roles of City Hall. I believe that's my responsibility as your elected representative to grow the community in a sustainable manner while working to create a place where everyone belongs and a City Hall that generates dignity for our residents. My platform, which is in the flyer or at jeffkaufman.ca, is about independent leadership and strengthening the relationship between City Council and you, and City Council and City Hall. Because quite frankly, City Hall is not a place that should manage your expectations, it should be a place that exceeds your expectations. On October 21st, please vote, but please vote Kaufman. Thank you.
Moving on to candidate Peter Days.
Thank you, Doug. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the DBRZ and for the Lethbridge Public Library for hosting this forum, and thank you for taking the time out to get involved in the election campaign so that you can make an informed decision on October 21st. My name is Peter Days, and I'm applying to you for the position of councillor. I'm 54 years old, and I recently left Global Lethbridge after being with the same company for 25 years. I have 32 years of experience in the media. My experience in the communications industry as a news reporter and as a news director has me questioning why things are done. I want to be your wise choice for council. That's WHY''S, asking the tough questions and keeping you informed. I also have a background in business, having spent the past 15 years as station manager at Global Lethbridge, managing budgets and staff. I'm concerned over the recent CFIB report, which showed spending by the City of Lethbridge has outpaced population growth in the past decade. I believe we need to be fiscally prudent, and we should be talking about ways to save money as opposed to finding ways to spend your money. I look forward to the debate tonight. Thank you.
Candidate Fiona Doherty.
Hi, good evening. My name is Fiona Doherty, and I'm here in the hopes that you will choose me to be one of the team members for Lethbridge City Council. As we sit on the verge of 100,000 people in population, we should look around and feel extremely fortunate to live in a world-class city like Lethbridge. But as we enjoy our prosperity, now is also the time to look towards the future and to recognize that along with our good fortune, challenges and negative issues will grow also. With voter turnout at an all-time low, less than 25% in 2007 and a dismal 35% in 2010, we as a city need to find ways to engage our voters, clear the lines of communication, and provide accountability to the citizens of Lethbridge. I believe the current electoral system, the at-large system, is failing us on all three of these levels. My vision for the future of Lethbridge is one of a ward system. In a ward system, boundaries are established for different zones, candidates reside within those zones, and when elected, they in effect become the liaison between their zone community, their ward, and the city. Thank you.
Feel bad cutting people off all the time, but hey, that's my job. Wade Galloway, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Wade Galloway. I moved to Lethbridge in 2006 to buy two local businesses and brought an existing one with me. In 2007, I added a fourth business in the downtown. In 2011, I purchased a downtown building. By 2012, I had divested of all my active business holdings. This past summer, my building was recognized with a historic plaque, and a mural was also commissioned to add to the fabric of downtown. It was a cost jointly shared by myself and the Downtown BRZ. I am married to Sarah, and together we have 2 children, ages 11 and 16. Growing up, politics was a part of my life. My father was a long-serving Reeve and ran federally. I know what this job entails. I was a vocal advocate and fundraiser for the Lethbridge Skateboard Association. Was recently successful in seeing the ground broken on that. I'm also a fundraiser for the Canadian Avalanche Foundation and was recognized with the 2013 Community Service Award for that. My information is available at wadegalloway.com, and I would appreciate your support on October 21st. Thank you.
Moving on to candidate Yves Gauthier.
Good evening, everyone. Just a little background on myself. I was born and raised in Quebec. I spent 13 years in the military, fresh out of school. I became a traffic technician, and at my retirement, I went back to school to become a machinist, mold maker, and a mold designer. Practiced for 6 years in the Windsor area before our auto industry took off overseas. Moved over here with my wife, Rona Capisanda, doctor, and I graduated recently from Lethbridge College as a engineering design and drafting. And for the past 2 years, I have been a professional sculptor. And this is why I'm here, is we have invested so much in art, and the artists are not, they don't have a voice yet. So please vote for me. Thank you.
Candidate Tyler Gashade.
Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Tyler Shade, and I've been born and raised in Lethbridge, and I was taught by my mother that community involvement and community service is very important. And to that end, I've been involved with community organizations for the last 25 years, and I believe that community service is important. Being on Kent City Council will be another opportunity for me to continue to serve our community. I'm very proud to live in Lethbridge. We have a wonderful and diverse community. Recently, I've also served on 3 City of Lethbridge committees, Community and Social Development Committee, Community Arts Steering Committee, and the North Lethbridge Regional Park Advisory Committee. Being on City Council, being on these committees, I have learned about some of the operations and procedures of city administration and council. I believe service is important. Was it time?
No, not yet.
Oh. One of the things I'm committed to is community involvement and community engagement, and I'm committed to actually having monthly open houses that we can actually communicate together.
Dylan Hargraves, please.
Good evening. I have served as the president of the Lethbridge College Students Association while I was there, and I gained much experience in governance and leadership. Now that I'm a college graduate, I want to take it further and do what I can to serve this community as a whole. I believe we must ensure that Lethbridge grows safely and responsibly. We need to plan ahead to ensure we have the programs, services, and infrastructure in place. We are not going to stop expanding, so we must plan for growth so that as it comes, we can build for it. I believe that Lethbridge has a beautiful and vibrant downtown. We need to do what we can to make it even better. I see an opportunity to create initiatives for a more residential downtown. Lethbridge continues to grow outward, and that's something that many people love. But I'm hearing from many people that they want to see it grow outwards. So for more information, I'd really encourage you to visit my website, dylanhargreaves.com. And we must foster and facilitate culture, from arts to recreation to businesses.
I call next on Marvin Heavyhead, I apologize.
Okay, Nataniko Haukatsi Sakumapi, and that's Martin Heavyhead. I'm currently a student at University of Lethbridge pursuing a Bachelor's of Science degree. I'm campaigning on 4 issues very important to me. These are urban agriculture to encourage more community gardens. The other is childcare for the municipality to be more involved in providing childcare for the community. For sustainable development, to remove barriers to allow for more solar panels and wind power. all to alleviate poverty and the burdens of the working poor. I'm very nervous. You're all such beautiful people. It's hard to think of what I need to do. Otherwise, I have a Google site and a Facebook page available. You can find me on Facebook, Martin Heavyhead Jr., and vote for me, or I won't get elected.
To all of the candidates whose names I am massacring, I apologize. Blaine Higgin, please.
Why do I have to go behind him? He's always such a hard act to follow. Good evening, and thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Blaine Hagan, and I've lived in Lethbridge for over 23 years. During that time, I attended college where I studied business law and accounting. And I've owned and operated 5 local businesses, 3 of them which were in the downtown BRZ. I'm a real guy with real life experience, and I've worked hard for what I have, so I truly understand the value of a dollar. If elected, I plan to be that watchdog on council, being sure that the city spends money on needs and not mere wants. The city needs to be fiscally responsible by living within its budget. As a business owner, I'm continually aware of my costs and revenues, and so should the city. For more information, please come and see me after the event or anytime at www.blainehiggin.com. On October 21st, please support me by voting Blaine Higgin for council. Thank you.
Liz Iwascu, please.
Thank you. I'm just finishing my second term on council, and I have to be honest with you, when I got on council the very first time, there was a lot of talk about improving downtown and putting money into it, and I was very skeptical. Downtown at that point was not doing very well, and I thought, what could any organization possibly do to make that big a difference? I'm here to tell you I'm going to eat some humble pie. I think that Ted and George, the heart of our city, and downtown BRZ have done an amazing job of making downtown a place to be, and because they've made me a believer, I will be a huge supporter if I'm fortunate enough to be voted back. Thank you.
Moving on, if we could, to Kevin Layton.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kevin Layton. My wife and I have been married this month for 22 beautiful years and have had the honor of calling Lethbridge our home. And I have had the honor of working and keeping downtown here part of the BRZ clean and tidy for a while. You see the beautiful orange paint on my walker. If it wasn't wet last night, I would have painted a bit more of downtown last night, a bit more orange, and a little bit more white in some areas. And next time it's dry out, I'll do a bit more. And next time the phone lines are up again, you can call me anytime to ask me any questions. But I would be honored to work for the city of Lethbridge as your next councillor. My name is Kevin Layton. Thank you.
We'll move on to Mark Lieb.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending. My name is Mark Lieb. I've been living in Lethbridge since 1984. I have a lovely wife, Kathy, who's actually in Edmonton right now looking after our 11-day-old grandson that we just had. I have 4 kids and now 4 grandchildren. For the last 21 years, I have been a business owner and a financial advisor here in Lethbridge. My platform is that I believe we need to take care of our taxes, fiscal responsibility of the city. We need to be accountable for our actions and our decisions. We also need to communicate better with the community and engage a lot of the community groups when we're dealing with issues that affect them. I have a brochure out back. I urge you to pick one up. It has my contact information on it so that you can contact me if you have any questions. On October 21st, please consider Mark Lieb. Thank you.
If I could call up our next candidate, Michelle Madge.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr. MacArthur, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time out to join us this evening, and thank you to the Downtown BRZ and the Library for co-sponsoring tonight. I'm Michelle Madge. I'm 43, married to Martin for 23 years. We have 2 grown daughters and a wonderful 2-year-old granddaughter. I've called Lethbridge home for about the past 20 years and lived as a local girl most of my life. My commitment to you, Lethbridge, is that I will listen. As a realtor with a broker's license, listening is what I do for a job. As a businesswoman, the commerce and growth of our beautiful city are very important to me. As a mom and a grandma, family values are very important to me. And as a regular citizen of Lethbridge, the decisions made by our council are very important to me. I promise to be accessible. Come talk to me or call my vote phone 894-VOTE or go to my website votemadge.ca. I promise to be responsible, and I believe in investing in projects that can sustain themselves once completed. I promise to work hard. Thank you.
Next, Joe Morrow.
Another election. I'm 3 years older. Life is different today than it was 3 years ago. I have positions, and I'm blessed and thankful to be in. My dad's caregiver, member of current council, and coach of the men's college soccer team. Although very different, these positions keep me accountable and responsible to those I serve. They make me realize the importance of dedication, commitment, respect, planning, communication, all qualities I believe are necessary as a councillor. My name is Joe Morrow, a lifelong Lethbridge resident. I have been fortunate and honored to serve you on council for 4 terms, each term being unique with different mayors, council members, and staff. However, my attitude and approach, plus understanding and realization of who I serve, has never changed. My mandate is simple: listen carefully to those I represent, understand your issues, concerns, and comments, take your issues forward, communicate with you often, but most important, treat you with respect and allow you the opportunity to be listened to. I will be honored and thankful to continue to be your voice. Thank you.
Moving on then to George McRae.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. And thanks to the BRZ and to the library for putting on this function. Although I've lived in Lethbridge for most of my adult life, I'm originally from Hannah, Alberta. I've owned and successfully operated my own business, Windy City Cutting and Coring, since 1981. I'm a family man. I'm happily married to a lovely woman, Wilma, with 4 children, 2 granddaughters, and a grandson. I've served on various boards within the city: Economic Development Lethbridge, Lethbridge Hurricanes Construction Association, and Lethbridge Minor Hockey Association. And I have participated in the governance, communication, liaison, and finance committees of these organizations. My personal philosophy is I believe that the opinion of the majority should be respected and implemented. The notion that democracy is a citizen's right to choose through elections is paramount in maintaining our current system. This is foremost in my mind. Citizens should be heard, their opinions respected, and their questions answered as expediently as possible. Elected officials are charged. Oh.
Time, please. Why do I feel like the executioner? Rory McEwen, please.
Good evening. My name is Rory McEwen. I've been born and raised in Lethbridge. I consider myself a hardworking, blue-collar type of person. The reason I'm running for council is I see where the council is today, and I see where I think it should be in the future. Some of the key points that I wanted to bring to council initially were residential curbside recycling, as well as working with businesses on their recycling practices, as well as continued support of the sports, leisure, and arts, and the downtown revitalization. In speaking with citizens, I have been asked to look into ways to improve transit efficiency and public access to public areas. But I hope to bring much more to council than just these few policies. Thank you.
Our next candidate, Darlene McLean.
Hello, I'm Darlene McLean. I have been self-employed for 18 years in the financial services industry. I am now semi-retired and I have the time to prove to provide you with a platform that has to be focused on the principles of good municipal governance. I gotta put my glasses on. What does that primarily mean? It means providing services and facilities that are deemed necessary and desirable. But this has to be accomplished within a framework of economic viability. So I will not be giving blanket yes answers to municipal spending questions without consulting citizens and the numbers. We have to regularly justify all programs with in-depth reviews because we have to find more opportunities for yes answers. Thank you very much.
Next, I'd call upon Carrie Milder.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to introduce myself as a strong and capable candidate. I am passionate about good governance. That's what this election needs to be about and what it should be about. Never mind the excitement and the commotion that goes along with elections. This election should be about serving the people of Lethbridge, and to do that, we need to elect a council that can work together and move this city forward. We need a council that can work productively with city administration. We need a council that can effectively advocate with all other levels of government. We need a council that is not only responsive to the community, but also makes responsible decisions. The job of the city councillor is a very serious one. If elected, I intend to give it my full attention. I will work hard to research issues, meet with partners, and respectfully listen to the community. This job requires passion and determination. It requires compassion and commitment. Thank you.
Next, Rob Murashiro. Let's try that again.
You're getting better at that. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank our host and the media for coming out tonight, and all of you for coming out again once more to listen to all of us. I'm currently the executive director of the Lethbridge Senior Citizens Organization. For the past 30 years, I've been a human services professional, and my job every day has been to improve people's lives, not in an intangible, unclear way, but in a very real and substantial manner. I've developed and implemented successful services in the child and family services, disabilities, employment, and senior sectors. I've also worked with the people of southwestern Alberta to develop a vision of services for children and families. I have an understanding of how different levels of government work and how to work with them. I have an understanding of the governance structure of our municipality and, I'm running out of time here, and where our council members fit in. I'm not promising to make drastic changes because I know the real change comes from collaborative effort and working together. So on October 21st, remember Rob Miyashiro. Thank you.
Goes into the goes outa, and then the thingamabob will work 2 times out of 7. Well, this is going to be an article of faith, but we're going to assume that this is going to work. Ryan Parker, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming out tonight. And quite often I think, well, what am I going to speak about tonight? Everyone's talking about, we should be doing this or we should be doing that, or we did something wrong. But I've been on council since I was 23 years old, and I'm proud of the work that not only my council have done, but the past councils. Too often we talk about the negative, but let's talk about the positive. Our downtown has never been as strong as it is today. There's growth opportunities in all quadrants of our community. Our youth are not only graduating from the university and college, but they're staying here, they're growing a business, they have entrepreneurial spirit. We have to continue to build on all our great opportunities. I don't want to talk about negativity because I think 95% of this community would say to you right now, we live in the greatest city. There's 5% will say, you know what, you shouldn't have done that, so you shouldn't have done that. But you know what, if you don't get anything done, or if you don't try, just don't. What I'm trying to say is this, if you don't get out and make something happen, nothing happens. And I think we need to be proud.
Time, please.
Proud as a community.
Call next on Harold Perversive.
Well, thank you, Doug, and thank you, the Downtown Business Revitalization. My name is Harold Perversive, and I'm proud to have had a 37-year career with the federal government of Canada, working across Canada with Customs Border Services as a first-line officer. In 1987, my family and I moved here to Lethbridge, and I worked downtown in Lethbridge at the Customs Office. However, 14 years ago, the Lethbridge Customs Office was closed due to downsizing in the federal government, and I transferred to the Canada Revenue Agency here in Lethbridge. I worked in industry, businesses, trades, individuals, not only in Lethbridge, but throughout southern Alberta. I did everything, folks, except give out refund checks. I currently volunteer as the president of the Lethbridge Twinning Society, and as such, I'm very involved with the City of Lethbridge and City Council. Not only our City Council, but the City Councils in the countries that we're involved in: Russia, Japan, China, the United States of America, and even, well, Quebec City.
Time, please.
Thank you.
Our next candidate, Joey Shackelford.
Thanks, Mr. MacArthur, and everyone for coming out tonight. And thanks for the library. Those old pictures were fantastic. My family has a large history here in Lethbridge, and those brought a lot of memories back for me. My name is Joey Shackelford. I'm a 58-year-old retired high school teacher. I taught at the LCI for 33 years and coached rugby, basketball, and many sports. Gave a lot of time up to other people's children, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I'm probably the first guy to say I probably have more people skills than I do business skills, especially compared to some of my honored platform guests here. I do know the history, though, of the downtown core, because in large my family was part of that history. For 50 years, my grandfather, my father owned and operated all the movie theaters here in town, the drive-in, that type of thing, and it was a great business to have and grow up in. I learned a lot of valuable lessons from my grandfather, I can tell you that. The reality now is, though, I still work for a family business, but not my own.
Time, please.
Thank you very much.
Call now upon James Sugi, who's got a very short speech. Leah Switzer, please.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Leah Switzer, and I'm running for one main reason for City Council. I want to use the 20 years of experience that I have had in public service to work for you. I clearly understand the responsibility and accountable practices of using public money, and it requires asking the right questions and doing a lot of homework. I have four main areas that I'd like to focus on: expanding our employment opportunities for graduates as a ready workforce, creating an environment where small business can launch and thrive, creating jobs for the local economy, supporting Lethbridge families with a variety of options for a healthy, active lifestyle, and finding ways to get it done, keeping a balanced approach to infrastructure services and development as our population increases. I have the track record to be believable, the experience to be capable, and the history to be trustworthy. Vote Leah Switzer, City Council. Thank you, Doug.
Next then, candidate Makotani.
Hello, I'm Makotani. I'm running for clean water, clean air, clean earth. No fracking, no digging, no drilling within the city of Lethbridge. We must stop it, but the city council who voted no is impotent. The Alberta government, the nincompoop, has allowed the digging within the city of any. It's just atrocious. We have to stop it. Stop, 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 stop. And I'm willing to contact EU, which says tar sand, dirty Alberta oil, and Alison Redford goes to Washington. Europe, clean. No. When Alberta government is ignoring the health of our kids, grandkids, no. And you guys run in 4 years, please, and swarm the city.
Moving on then to Jeff Wall, please.
I'm running for Lethbridge City Council because I have the background, skills, and perspective to contribute that will help our great city become even better. As a business owner, I practice strategic thinking and problem solving on a daily basis. I understand that cooperation between business and government is not always easy, but it is essential to community growth and stability. As a civil engineer, I learned the value of research and strategic planning, as well as providing for contingency plans for potential problem areas. While working in the not-for-profit sector, I thrived in an atmosphere of serving and working with a wide variety of people. I have the experience to bring a group of individuals with different perspectives together, facilitating discussions around the table and researching a resolution for a greater good. Teamwork and networking are key. Because of my experience in owning a small business, working in engineering in the not-for-profit sector, I bring these relevant skills, talents, and abilities to serve on City Council.
Our final candidate, Rena Wass.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rena Wass. I was born and raised in Lethbridge. I'm a tradesperson and businesswoman, self-employed in design and decorating. Previously, I was in house building. I also own an online publishing company. I'm actively involved in local politics. Many of you probably know me through my letters to the editor, covering issues relating to street lighting, digital billboards, environment, and more. All good things begin with vision and good planning. Downtown revitalization is hugely important. In many cities that I've been to, the downtown core dies for one reason. It's too overpopulated with 9 to 5 businesses. The city just sold a prime piece of land. That was a terrible mistake. If elected, I would work with the BRZ to infuse vitality into our downtown core, creating an arts and culture center. Thank you.
We're going to move on to the next phase of this, which is the question and answer session. The questions are being posed by a panel of local media people, and I would respectfully call your attention to this table over here, introducing, and perhaps if you could just give a quick wave so that everybody knows who you are. First of all, Dory Modney of 95.5, 93.3 FM, Jessica Cable of Shaw TV, Cheryl Oates of Global TV, Burl Todd of 94.1 CJOC, Tim Rempel of the Lethbridge Herald, Jeanette Roche of CTV, and whatever I just said, at any rate. Garrett Simpson of the Lethbridge Herald, and Tim is not with the Lethbridge Herald, no matter how much he tries. I apologize for that. You know, ever have a pair of glasses that you can't see with them and you can't see without them? The candidates are going to be given a question delivered by the media. So each candidate will get one question, and we're going to start our first question. The recipients will be in the same order as what we just had. The mayoralty candidates, then moving on to the council candidates in alphabetical order. So I would invite Farron Ellis to the podium for the first question by Dory Modney.
Dory.
So, Farron, the health of any city can usually be gauged by the vitality of its downtown area and the businesses that it usually attracts. So my question to you is, in your view, What's City Council's role in maintaining that health, or should City Council be involved in maintaining the health of the downtown area?
Certainly, Dory. City Council has a role in maintaining the economic health and vitality of all areas of the city, including downtown. We've, both past councils as well as this council have invested a lot in the downtown. The renovated SAG, CASA, Yates renovations to come, Main Street projects on 3rd Avenue are all good examples. But for me, and I've got to disagree with Rena, one of the most important things we did was sell that 1st Avenue property. Having a vacant hole in downtown that is nothing more than a parking lot, turning that over to the private sector to bring professional jobs into the downtown core was one of the most significant investments that the city could make in downtown. And it's that type of vitality where the city has the opportunity to allow the private sector to take a leading role in creating jobs in downtown and bringing that activity downtown that I'm most proud of.
Next candidate, Bridget Mertens.
Hi, Bridget.
Hi.
Do you feel that it is important for the city of Lethbridge to invest in restoring and rehabilitating our downtown heritage buildings through programs like the Lethbridge Main Street project?
Absolutely. We saw incredible revitalization of downtown because of the Main Street programming, where we put public and private together, helping people springboard into making sure that they were investing in the buildings that are there. We have amazing heritage buildings in Lethbridge, and I think they're very important to maintain. But what's tricky is when you take public money and you put it into private ownership. But in this case, it's a way of springboarding and having reinvestment made into these buildings, which then spurs on other people to invest in their buildings, and that grows and brings vitality into the area. But it would be a shame, and it's always a shame, when we see our heritage buildings not being maintained. So anything we can do to help it. What that looks like is obviously different programs to do it, but it's incredibly important.
Everybody knows the order that it's going to happen in, so I'm not going to jump up and down like a rabbit. Curtis.
Hit me, Cheryl.
Hi, Curtis.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good.
Good.
In your introduction, you talked about having a vision for Lethbridge and a hope for a successful and vibrant downtown. So what is your vision specifically for downtown?
What is my vision specifically? I think we need to start going up in downtown. We need complexes that have great retail shops on the bottom floor, maybe some affordable housing towards the middle, and then some mid to luxury condos moving on up. We need to make sure that the downtown core is occupied for most of the day, not just 9 to 5. We want to have a great arts and culture downtown. We want to have a performing arts center that would be amazing, that can be doubling, and not only for performing arts, but also for the business sector as an arena for conventions that would add to the vibrancy of downtown. We need more great hotels downtown. We need more traffic. And most of all, we need a transit system in town to make sure people can get to downtown and from downtown when they need to. Thank you.
Chris. Crunch. The city, the importance, the priority of downtown. City takes in about $10.2 million out of downtown, sees fit to put $500,000 back in as helping it get better. Is that enough?
That is a judgment call. I think we do need to reinvest back into downtown. That's my second priority after curbside recycling. So I would think revitalization of downtown and providing incentives to developers to develop downtown and make it a vibrant downtown, providing accommodation downtown that's living, building multi-story buildings that people can live in, providing incentives for grocery access downtown again. Let's make downtown a place that people want to be in, a bustling downtown, something we can be proud of, something that we've made good progress, but we need to continue that progress. So when you have visitors coming to downtown, you can bring your family downtown and your guests downtown and be proud of what Lethbridge is. And we're almost there, but we still have a ways to go. So I would encourage more investment downtown from city dollars. Thank you.
We'll move on to the council candidates, the councillor candidates, but I should acknowledge Tim is with Lethbridge Living magazine, and I apologize for screwing that up. Marco.
It's good to have my job back.
Marco Bergeron, please.
Hello, Marco.
Hello.
There are a lot of issues that can affect, or that do affect, the revitalization of downtown. What, in your view, is the most important issue that is affecting revitalization of downtown, and what would you do to fix it?
Okay, first of all, that's the first issue when I saw, it's the parking. You know, we need more parking and we need a free parking too. If we want to invite somebody, if I would like to invite somebody in my home and don't have a parking, how can we have people who see me? So the first of all. Secondly, we need to go down the fees too for the business coming. So what the city need to offer something to invite the business to. So, and after that, we need to consult, of course, the business already there. And they say, okay, now what do you think we needed to do something more for you too? Because we would like to keep you, not only invite the new one. We need to keep what we have actually, and so we could make more with this and work with these people already there. And of course, we need, if you have no house, no living, no people. So we need to invite business, invite the people, and people be happy, safety too. So we need to consult and we need to make something. Thank you very much.
Jeff?
Hi, Jenny.
Hello. Jeff, could you provide us with an example of a successful downtown initiative and what that would look like, how it would maybe make our downtown a community that the city can be proud of?
Sure, I can talk about one that we've actually had some great success with just this last term on council. I'm very pleased to be council's representative on Heart of the City, so downtown is very important to me, and it's been very nice to be working on those initiatives. First Fridays was something that I'm hopeful that each and every one of us have been a part of over the last year and a bit. It was a Heart of the City initiative to sort of drive excitement, vitalization downtown with the First Fridays. I think that is probably the thing I'm most proud of, our biggest success recently, and we're very pleased that our partnership with the BRZ, they've done an amazing job of working with the local businesses downtown, building on that excitement, all the local events that have been happening downtown. The excitement that we've created on those First Fridays is now spilling out into the rest of the month. We're very pleased with it, and we hope that that event continues on into the future.
I'll keep it fairly short and sweet. What do you feel are the biggest challenges facing downtown today?
Thank you, Garrett, for the question. The biggest challenges from my point of view tend to be the lack of people. If we were put more people residing in the downtown core, we touch upon the issues that candidates have actually mentioned here tonight. More people in the downtown core actually leads to a safer downtown core, because the more people you have on the street, the safer the streets are. The more people you have looking at the street, the safer the streets are. It's also better for business. Obviously, there's an economic spin-off for that. We'll strengthen what we have in our downtown core for businesses. We see that happening on Sunday mornings. If you go to the Tap House for breakfast, people actually spill out from there. They go down to Kapow Comics, and I apologize if I got that name wrong, but I think I got it right. You're starting to see some economic vibrancy on a Sunday morning in the downtown core, at a time and a place that you didn't used to. To me, the biggest challenge to what goes on there at the moment is the lack of residential opportunities for people in the downtown core. Thank you.
Peter, there's no doubt that the BRZ has done a tremendous amount of work in the last several years in improving the condition of the downtown area. Certainly, as Jeff just mentioned, we really need to see more housing down there to integrate that. But what's the other one thing that you think is genuinely missing from the downtown area that would draw more people there?
Well, Jeff sort of stole my answer as far as the residential, but I think that
I spoke with Ted Stolson last week, and he talked about a vision that the city used to have for the downtown, and that seems to have disappeared. And I think that, you know, this council needs to have a vision. The next council needs to have a vision that would include that residential, and it needs to be a vibrant downtown. The other thing about having the residential area is, as you get more people downtown, that also eliminates a lot of the loitering that we see that's happening downtown as well. So I think that's really, for me, the big thing. I know this has been talked about a performing arts center. I'm not sure there's an appetite for that right now, but if there was, I wonder if we couldn't look at doing that the same way that the college did back in 2000 with the Tech 2000 campaign, where they looked for corporate support and were able to construct a new building at the college that with that corporate support we could get a performing arts center in downtown Lethbridge. Thank you.
Hi. Continuing on with the Performing Arts Center, the Community Arts Center has been a positive addition to the downtown core. Why is it important for council to continue to invest in the cultural corridor, and would you support the investment in a downtown performing arts center?
I would absolutely support a downtown performing arts center. I go to shows. I travel to Calgary and to Edmonton to go to shows. We have the Yates Theatre here in Lethbridge. It's not large enough to draw the bigger shows that come. I go to Broadway across Canada, and I go to Calgary to the Jubilee. I go to Edmonton to the Jubilee. I think that our NMAX Center is a hockey arena. It doesn't have the right sort of sound setup for the big shows. And I see when I go to Calgary and to Edmonton that that's a destination. I shop while I'm there, I eat while I'm there, I stay in a hotel while I'm there. If we had something similar to that in Lethbridge, we would draw from the surrounding southern Alberta communities, and it would benefit the whole city.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Wade. Downtown business owners are complaining that there's a population of people hanging out downtown that are discouraging business or people staying in the downtown. This could be public drunkenness, it could be panhandlers, it could be loiterers, but I know at least one business has hired private security to make customers feel safer and encourage people to come and stay in the downtown. So how do we combat that?
A lot of this is going to sound like the same thing over and over again, but feet on the street is the ultimate solution to all of these problems. Passive surveillance, the more people that we have downtown, the less likely it's to become a place where people are going to hang out and otherwise negatively impact business owners in the area. There's a good police presence in the downtown. There's a mobile bike squad. These officers are engaged in the community. They know the business owners, and it's something that as a community that we have to work together as to make sure that we are providing a downtown that is the face of our community, because really when outside residents come to our city, it's the first thing that they see. I had the opportunity to travel across Canada last summer with my family, and what I really distilled from that is that what makes us different is what attracts people to our location. It's not the big boxes, it's not the power centers, it's the heart of the downtown. It's where the historic buildings are, and it's where the people congregate. So it's important that we invest the assets into it to make sure that it is a viable downtown. Thank you.
Eve?
Yes.
Question about eyesore buildings in the downtown. Like we've all seen we've had our pigeon poop collector down there for a long, long time. And finally it's beginning to go down. Is there anything that you would try and do if you were on city council to stop that kind of thing, having buildings that look awful and just stay awful for year after year?
I would probably try to make a list of those little buildings. Little paper show or just a little description beside how much their property is worth and which company or individual is the owner. And I think that would be discouraging, maybe a little too much. They would get right at it and then hopefully get those eyesores fixed and looking way better. Just a couple flowers can't hurt. Thank you.
Hello, Tyler.
Hello.
Two-part question, continuing on the theme with the Performing Arts Center. Should the Performing Arts Center be built? And more importantly, how should it be funded?
I fully support the
Performing Arts Center. I've actually been on the Allied Arts Council board for 5 years. I'm currently finishing my last year of my second term. And I've also sat on the steering committee for the Community Arts Center. I believe it's important for the community. If you've ever seen the undergrounds workings of the Yates Center, you'll see that it's not unsafe, but it's not meeting our current needs in terms of performance and in terms of capacity, and as well as capacity as well as technology in terms of sound acoustics and that sort of thing. What was your second part of the question?
How it should be funded?
I believe that it should be funded in a number of ways, federal and provincial support, but also corporate support as well.
Hi, Dylan.
Hi, Janet.
As a member of the media, I've had the opportunity to interview many students, such as yourself, and one of their high priorities seems to be transit, as it is of many members of certain segments of the population. Where does transit, is it a priority to you? How important is it for you to increase the efficiency of transit?
I think transit is very important, especially as it relates to our city as a whole, whether it be the west side or downtown. It's how a lot of people get around. I'm glad to see so many young faces in the audience tonight, and I wish I got credit for coming out to forums when I was in class. I would be here and call it studying. So what I'm proposing as far as transit and transportation goes is that we really have the hard discussions, okay? We need to look at the small issues that make a difference. Not always having a complete overhaul of the system that could be equally inefficient and hard to tell, and council would spend a long time debating about it. We need to start looking and engaging the community, whether that be a standing committee on the subject or something else, and finding out what routes need to be fixed, what hours, what buses, and how we can do it in the most cost-effective yet efficient way. Thanks.
Martin, I'll stick with the transportation issue, I guess, in a certain way. Do you agree council should support the development of a long-term parking plan for downtown that may include a centralized parking structure?
Yes, parking in the downtown area is pretty limited options as far as space goes. That's an interesting question to give me. I actually kind of wish I had the one about the loiterers. Jeez. Yes, sure. We need more parking downtown.
I
Wow.
see why you said you didn't want to come after me.
I was just going to say, easy on me here, Dory, all right?
Let's go back to the residential issue downtown. It's a big issue. Obviously, we can't replant a lot of private homes in the downtown area, so it's mostly condos and apartment buildings that we'd be talking about. Those can be expensive, particularly in high rises. If you were on council, would you look at the possibility of doing tax breaks for companies that would come in and be willing to invest in those so that we can get people living downtown?
Gosh. I guess what's really tough about that is that offering tax breaks in certain areas and maybe not in other areas is, in my opinion, probably isn't the best thing to do with trying to revitalize an area. Now I've heard that there's a lot of different buildings downtown that can still be built up and that have the structure to be able to do that. And so I think that in order to put housing and stuff like that down there, I think that's what is extremely important. Now, as far as putting in new buildings, again, that gets back to what are we going to take it down? What heritage are we going to remove to put in other buildings to be able to draw people downtown? I do believe that the more people you have downtown and the more traffic that's downtown is a safer downtown. And I know in talking with a a brother of mine that is one of these bike peddler policemen downtown that Wade was talking about. It's so true. He says there's so much.
Time, please.
Oh, all right.
Hi. So we've been talking a lot about what we want to see in downtown and what we can do to improve downtown, but why is it so important to have a clean, safe, vibrant, and economically viable downtown? Why is it important for the entire city?
I've been fortunate to do a lot of traveling in my life. I've been to a lot of the major cities in the world, and every one of them is built around a core place that has beautiful architecture and open markets and shopping and dining, and they may not call it a downtown. Some places call it the high street. Other places call it something else. But every major city that you've ever been to that caught your attention had a fabulous central core where things were happening, and that's what downtown needs to be. And I think if we support downtown BRZ and the heart of our city, that we'll get there. Thank you.
Hi, Kevin.
Hello, Cheryl.
I know you've been an advocate for Lethbridge's disabled population for a long time. So what are your ideas to make the downtown more accessible for that population?
Street corners with a proper slope, ramps at the buildings, buttons at all the stores where they should be, just better accessibility all around. My doctor's office, for example, there's a ramp, but there's no button, so I still have to call in to let them know that I'm at the office, but I can't get in, which is a nuisance for everybody involved. The building's response is it's too much of a security issue for the building. It's a nuisance for everybody all around. Ramp slopes are not at the proper level on every corner. They need to be better regulated. A lot of corners don't have ramps. They need to be. You know, if this is going to be a city that's including for everybody, they got to include everybody.
Time, please.
Thank you.
Okay, Mark. One of the brighter spots in downtown has been the way that Galt Gardens has been improving over the years. The rotary water fountain deal and the pergola. It's excellent. The park is looking great. What else can be done in there to make it better for people? That the city might do that you might vote for?
That I might vote for?
And spend money on.
Well, I agree with you. I think those two things have definitely improved the Galt Gardens and the downtown core. I think the fact that we have a number of events downtown that are very successful and draw a lot of people downtown are also equally successful and has definitely helped with the downtown. There's a number of things we can do downtown that are not overly costly. We could, during the winter, I know we get a lot of Chinooks, but we could even freeze, a small ice surface and have skating down there. I know it's a big attraction in Calgary. You go to Central Park in New York and they rent hockey skates out there, and being an avid hockey player and working 7 years as a referee in the Western League, I wanted to go skate in Central Park, and I had to wait over an hour to get a set of skates to rent. So I think those types of things don't cost a lot and you get a lot of value from it. The Chinooks might have a bit of an issue. Sometimes it might be waiting in it, and that's another way that the younger kids can enjoy it. Thank you.
Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Tim.
Continuing on the theme from the debate this afternoon, actually, with the CHBA, as has been said, it's a priority for getting more people downtown and living downtown for downtown to be more revitalized. Would you be in favor of infill housing, higher density housing, and even high-rise condos, both in downtown but also in adjacent neighborhoods?
Thanks for the question. Yes, I definitely would be in favor of that idea, and I think we can work in partnership with the CHBA and other organizations in Lethbridge to make that happen. As far as going up instead of out, I really believe in that idea. I think we can, building on Curtis's comment on putting a high-rise condominium-style building downtown, I really believe we would need to ensure that the main level would be something like retail and restaurants, that kind of thing. And I really would encourage to incorporate parking into it as well. Use a couple of levels for parking as well. Thank you.
Hi, Joe. You recently did a Lethbridge accountability survey in which one of these sections was called Green Sense. So my question to you, Joe, is how green are you? How did you do on that portion of the survey?
Well, if you're asking me about what colors I like black and white and yellow. Green is not one of my favorite colors. You know, to me, it's not really what I think, because I believe the responsibility is, it actually is up to each individual. We all know, we can all, you know, talk about doing the recycling things, and there's so many ways of recycling. But if we don't, as individuals, believe in it, it doesn't matter what council does or what we do. You have to buy in first, and actually, when we know you're buying in, I think then we can start thinking, how are we going to make it work, and try and find some funding, you know, somehow to make the project happen. I just believe that it has to come from the community. I think every member of council would support anything that would save the environment. None of us, all of us have the intentions of leaving better, you know, when we are on this earth, leaving it better for the next generation. But it has to come from the community.
Next.
Hi, George.
Hi, Garrett.
You've heard a lot about downtown being called the heart of our city. Maybe just describe a little bit what that means to you, and what role you see the downtown plays in a city like the size of Lethbridge.
The heart of the city, to me personally, means that is where the city begins. We have the beautiful facilities downtown, where we can go with to our parks and to our families and our art walks and our festivals. And that is what the heart of the city is. That's the pulse of the community. And I just wanted to throw in an idea here that I came across discussing with someone else. We're talking about the reconstruction of 3rd Avenue between 4th Avenue and 8th Street. There's a possibility that for our festivals and for our other things downtown, we could basically put bullards in the middle of the street that come up hydraulically, and we could close the street off within minutes and open it up to our festival, similar to what the library did last for their reading with Word on the Street. Excuse me. Well, they did it with barricades. Thank you.
All right, right now, 1% of money spent on capital projects is put towards the acquisition of public art. It's a double-edged sword there, especially if you know what's going on in Calgary right now with this big blue circular street light. What's your take on that? What's your take on public money being spent on art?
I think spending public funds on various projects such as art is a necessary thing. I can't honestly tell you if 1% is enough. Just by the sounds of it, I would say no. But I think this goes to an issue of what we spend all the funds on, and if funds are being wasted somewhere else or could be moved towards art, I think I'd be all for that and encouraging local art and culture. Apart from that, I guess that's all I got. Thanks.
quick question. What do you feel is the biggest challenge facing our downtown?
The biggest challenge facing our downtown is right now, there's mostly lawyers' offices, medical, dental, financial services, insurance, whatever. And that is the bulk of what our downtown is. And they're taking up the most space. And the businesses that support them are doing quite well. It's the small independent specialty shops that have quite a bit more of a struggle. They don't have the big corporate offices down in who knows where to maintain these property taxes and for their buildings and that sort of thing. So if you fix up downtown too much and make it too fancy, then the property values go up and the small independents cannot afford the rent, and then you've got empty storefronts. So we've got to find ways to try and keep the specialty shops down there, because that's what creates variety and interest.
Hi.
Hi, Cheryl.
Let's go back to the arts. Is Lethbridge ready for a new performing arts center, and should it be downtown?
I actually believe that we are ready. When you consider that people all over southern Alberta attend events in Calgary and Edmonton, I think they would be more than willing to attend events in Lethbridge, and especially if we had a cultural core down in downtown Lethbridge. I think all that would go along with a performing arts center would draw more people, would attract more people, and ultimately, you know, our goal is to have people who come to visit want to live here. People hear about our center and want to come, and we may see people from Edmonton driving to Lethbridge for events. So I think it's time for a performing arts center. I think we have to be seriously looking at how we can raise the funding, corporate and federal and provincial and so on. But I think from what I'm hearing from people when I'm door knocking, that they're excited about the idea, and I think that the next city council should pursue it. Thank you.
Rob.
Hey, Burl.
Downtown, what are we doing right that sticks out to you, and what are we missing that sticks out to you?
One of the things that we're doing right now is that we clean up Galt Gardens a little bit more than it has been. Put a waiting park in, develop the amphitheater, have that little serving hut that nonprofit groups can use for their events. Built Casa and made that whole block more inviting. What we don't do enough of downtown is still address all the social issues that prevent people from going downtown. You can't build a bunch of high rises full of people if they can't walk their dog in the park. You can't have a whole bunch of businesses move in if people are scared to go there after dark. And that's not an indictment of what happens right now, but I've been in large cities, I've been in smaller cities where the downtown core, for some reason, they've been able to clean it up. You can walk in Eau Claire in Calgary at 10 o'clock at night and you're not going to get accosted. You can't walk in Galt Gardens at 10 o'clock at night and not get accosted. So we look at funding the social issues that prevent people from visiting downtown. We clean up those issues and then we develop it.
Brent.
Hi.
As you said in your intro, that you've been a counselor since you were 23. I was going to say for 23 years, but it must seem that way. Obviously, you've voted on a lot of different issues and looked at a lot of different issues. What's the one issue that you think is vital that hasn't been addressed that you would want to address in your next term if you're successful?
In regards to downtown or?
In regards to, in general.
I think the most important thing a council needs to do is communicate better with the community it serves. Too often, the misunderstandings that happen in a community cause a lot of anger. When I go to door, people say, I can't believe you guys did that, or you did this. But you know what? When I clarify the facts, they feel a lot better. Miscommunication is the biggest cause of anger in our community. We need to do a better job as council in communicating to you. At the end of this forum, a lot of you guys are going to come up to us and go, I didn't realize that, or I didn't realize this. Everything's always based on a misunderstanding.
We all have the best intentions, and we always talk about communication. Communication is an evolving process, and I believe we're getting better and better at it. I can just tell by the last few days that I've been going door to door, people are saying, you know what, I have a lot more confidence in my council, and that makes me feel really good about the council that I've been sitting on. So that's the key, communication.
Hi, Harold.
Hi.
What are the three most important issues that you hear from members of the downtown business community, and what are your plans to address those issues?
Today, I had a comment from one of the business owners that the downtown parking meters are good, but they're also very bad. The issue that was expressed was the fact that why is 9 o'clock the magic hour? There's nobody downtown at 9 o'clock. This particular business owner wanted to basically get her business going and start the day. Parked out front, she got a ticket at 9:20. There's nobody around. And that was one issue with the parking. The other thing is accessibility of the bus terminal and the timing for people to get back and forth on the buses. Currently 30 minutes. I'm getting terrific feedback here. And finally, the third thing that I see as a huge issue is the safety of the downtown. The visibility of security or police on foot patrol is necessary in our downtown. Thank you.
Garrett?
I guess we've heard a lot of people talk about creating variety downtown, creating more businesses downtown. What is the key, from your perspective, in terms of attracting more businesses downtown and more variety of businesses downtown? And what do you feel council's role is in that process?
Well, I think council has to attract business downtown, and as many people have said tonight here, kind of not the same. We do have a lot of professional people downtown, but you know, if you are on city council, you represent anybody that's 18 or older that can vote. And I know a lot of young people that I've talked to have said that they lack transportation downtown. One gentleman I talked to said it'd be great to have a bus service from the college or the university, you know, on maybe one night on a Thursday or something where they can get on the bus at 7 o'clock and go directly downtown, not every little bus stop. And then maybe Friday the university students come down, same thing, and can get a ride back so they don't have to worry about drinking, driving, all those kinds of issues. City Council has done a good job in starting this process. I think what's happened in the past is past city councils kind of lost their focus, and we turned our back on it because of the Costco's and everything in the south end of town. I'm glad to see, and Liz agrees, that downtown is back. Thanks.
There's been a lot of discussion tonight about the Performing Arts Center. Surely that's not the only attraction that we can put downtown. Is there anything else in your mind that we could be doing downtown to draw people towards that area?
Well, I think there's a number of things that are already going on that should be continued. I like the partnership and the collaboration concept. And one of the things that I really like is the collaboration that the downtown has with the Community Futures in having a loan given to business owners to improve the outside of their businesses, and the BRZ is paying the interest. That's an excellent addition. It creates the feeling that people really care about their businesses. There's the festivals that are going on. There's the First Friday was mentioned already. There's the arch that they're looking at bringing into the entrance into the downtown BRZ. I think that...
Time, please.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Yes?
What do you think council should be doing to encourage a growing and continuing vibrancy in the downtown core of Lethbridge?
Well, I guess safety. And in order to have that one, we have to have a subsidized housings. And we talk about their inebriated people. But they were the ones who suffered from their residential abuse. We have to tackle with that. And Paul Martin, about 10, 15 years ago, cut down the subsidy to make their subsidized housings. We are the only one which doesn't have the subsidized housing funds from the Fed. So, basic things first, please.
Sarah.
There's a number of Canadian communities that offer tax incentives to developers who want to restore or revitalize historic buildings. What do you think about doing that in Lethbridge, and what would that initiative look like?
Thank you for the question. And I think being able to incentivize or encourage our businesses to revitalize, especially the fascia or the look of downtown, I think really brings an attractiveness. I think many of us have talked about traveling and visiting other towns, and you enjoy an environment where it looks historic, it has some of that aspect to it. And I think it's one of the vibrancies we have downtown is some of the historic buildings that are still there. And to be able to preserve those, it preserves some of the history for those who have grown up in the area or those who are new to the area to actually be able to find out some of that history. So I think being able to give some of those tax breaks or encouragements, I think tax breaks are one of those ways. I think there's a variety of other ways that we can strategically look at encouraging that to actually happen. What would it look like in the long term? That would be a bit harder for me to answer, having not sat on council, but I think there's a variety of different ways that we can look at making that happen, and the encouragement and the incentives are important. Thank you.
When you're in the downtown, what is your favorite thing you like about downtown? Why do you keep coming back to downtown for one thing?
Well, I love the park. We grew up just down from Galt Gardens, and it was a real ethnic little community. We used to go down, and Bert's popcorn stand was there. I miss that. I think we've got an opportunity to infuse a little more life with having opened the doors to street vendors, food trucks. I love Food Network Canada. A lot of cities are allowing food trucks in. We've got a growing ethnic population. Like, how can we get to know our ethnic neighbors, like people from other countries? Let them open up venues like Greek bakeries, a Polish restaurant, I don't know. If we had a farmer's market indoor farmer's market year-round / artisan market, that builds community, an ice rink. There's so many opportunities, but it takes vision. The rest is semantics. Thank you.
That wraps up the first portion of this. We are going to take a 5-minute break for important matters, not the least of which is the washrooms are there. So 5 minutes, please, and we'll come back for the second round of questions for our candidates. Thank you very much. They must stay here. It's a matter of budgeting. All right, so we're going to continue with round 2 of this. 2 important items. We're going to, based on the moderator's privilege, reverse things. And instead of going alphabetically A to Z, we'll go alphabetically Z to A. And part 2 of this, it's very easy to take things for granted when you're sitting here with a list, and it's been pointed out to me that we're not necessarily always identifying the candidates. So the 2 things I'm going to ask are candidates, if you would just quickly make a point of mentioning your name. Questioners, if you could please make a point of mentioning the name of the person that you're addressing the question to. And then 2 times out of 7, it'll all work out just perfectly. So, we're going to start this off. We're going to pick up where we left off with our questioners. So our first question is going to Rena Wass, and that will be posed by Tim.
Hello, Rena.
Hello.
I had a humdinger of a question ready for Farron, but I didn't get him, so we'll give you a different one. As much as we talk about transportation and busing and that sort of thing, and it is, Lethbridge is a car-centric community, and car travel and roadways are very important. But there are several roadways that do have issues. Specifically, just a couple, Grathing Scenic Drive can be very congested at certain times. The 26th Avenue North, being only single lane traffic, can be very congested quite often. And then Scenic Drive heading out of downtown and heading south can also be a problem. How would you propose to fix some of these issues?
Well, this seems to be an ongoing problem, and it all boils down to design. Why weren't the roads designed properly in the first place? Now, I sat at a council meeting October the 15th, a year ago, and administration asked council for $10 million. Why? There is a traffic issue in a subdivision behind Safeway on the west side. Well, a decade ago or so, I guess on the drawing board it looked wonderful. The reality is parents can't get their kids from home to school, from home to downtown. It's a design problem. We have to design things in a thoughtful way from the beginning. There's so many lights that you have to, every time I'm down Mayor McGrath going towards Costco, you're stopping every time you turn around. This is really frustrating our population. We need to re-look at the design. Thank you.
I'm Jeff Wall.
Hi, Jeff. We've talked a little bit about revitalizing downtown and trying to attract new businesses. In your opinion, are business taxes too high or too low?
I guess the right answer depends on who you're asking, whether the business taxes are too high or too low. I think business tax is part of the reality in being downtown. Is something that will be important in attracting new businesses to the downtown area. I think as a city, we always need to evaluate and look at, are the taxes enabling the right percentage, the right appropriate amount of business downtown, or are they hindering that? And in the infrastructure that's actually being provided, are those taxes covering what some of those expenses will actually need to be to make that happen? So I think the evaluation process, a collaborative process with the BRZ, the heart of our city, they would be people that are able to regularly meet with. When I was meeting with the downtown business owners, it came up occasionally about the taxes and a desire to see maybe some balancing out with that. I think the taxes would probably play a far greater impact on the building up of the high rises when we get to that stage of the downtown.
Hi, good evening, Mako. I'm going to go a little off the board on this one. You mentioned very passionately in your opening about your opposition to oil and gas development within city limits.
Right.
I guess what would you do specifically as a city councillor to try to combat this this booming development in the city?
We have to change the Alberta government's attitude towards the citizens of any town, city in Alberta for allowing any company to drill, frack, dig within a city. And more than that, the water intake, drinking water intake of the city will be downstream if this fracking or drilling will go on. We gotta do something, and I don't know, lie down there while they're digging, like please read Jane Jacobs' books. There's secure, safe, happy city. We might have to lie down while, or before, or during the digging.
Time, please.
Thank you.
Leah Switzer.
Leah, sorry.
That's fine.
I heard one of the candidates mention how the downtown area or council in general needs a lot of vision. It's always been my experience that the downtown BRZ has a full load of vision. There's a lot of very visionary people. Mostly what they need is the finances to carry out a lot of these visionary projects. So how does it come down to financing some of these bigger projects, and how do you prioritize them? Specifically, if you're looking towards a performing arts center or other major projects downtown.
Well, I guess there have been surveys done with the citizens of Lethbridge that show what their priorities are. And they clearly show the first priority is a leisure center that families can go to. And they also see the downtown as being an area that has great importance. So there have been one-time funding allotments given by the city for certain things in the downtown core for development of certain areas and certain things. The way you prioritize them is you take a look at the budget, and you take a look at what you know to be true for the development that we have already, and where the city strategic plan goes. You definitely invest the community and find out where they want to go, and then you incorporate that with what you're capable of doing in terms of your finances and what you have available.
Time, please.
Joey Shackelford.
Hi. Malfunctioning parking meters have been identified as one of the biggest challenges for people coming to downtown businesses. If elected, would you work towards phasing out old technology and replacing them with smart meters that take coins, credit and debit cards, and City of Lethbridge Breeze cards?
Yes, in a heartbeat. That has been a complaint of many people, myself included. When they are malfunctioning, you don't know. You put a few coins in, nothing happens. Do I take the chance to go shop for half an hour? You come back, maybe there's a ticket. Now you got to go explain yourself that the thing wasn't working. It's just old technology. If the city's going to continue to use that as a revenue stream through all the parking meters and the money that it takes, you have to invest back into that and get it into the 21st century. Make sure that people can. We're getting to be a cashless society unless you're kind of 50 and over like me, and I always like to have a few bucks in my pocket. But yeah, for younger people, just to use a debit card or whatever to be able to access, I think would make it much more convenient for people. And although they probably still complain a little bit, maybe not quite so much with the downtown parking. Thanks.
Harold Versoff.
Hi.
Hi.
We've talked a lot about the initiatives in the downtown that have made it a more successful and vibrant place to spend our time, but it seems like no matter how much work is put into that, the reputation of it being maybe an unsafe place, especially Galt Gardens, persists. How do we combat that?
The perception is real, and you don't have to read too much into the newspaper to hear of some incident every week. I believe that visible security and police, foot patrol, bicycle patrol, those kind of avenues to protect the citizens and to keep the community safe is important. I also believe that people have to be vigilant themselves. They have to not put themselves in harm's way. Now that doesn't mean being paranoid or scared to go in a community, but it does mean being careful, walking with somebody else, walking with a friend, or at least letting people know where you are. That's how our community can grow and bring the community and downtown vibrant. Thank you.
Brian, just wanted to kind of go away from downtown for a moment. The original Lethbridge was a north-south. Now we've got a Lethbridge with a big west side, north-south still here, and it's a much larger city. Now there's a balancing act. There are some who sense that west side gets more than its share. How can a council deal with that and keep everyone as happy as possible?
If you're making everyone happy, you're doing something wrong. The west side is growing, we all know it. There's well over 30,000 people on the west side. But I'm also proud to say that the north side also is progressing. The new North Side Regional Park is going to be a major cornerstone, and I'm very proud to be part of the council that voted for that. As you all know, South has been taking off for the last 10 to 15 years, both residentially and commercially. We have to make sure that we have the proper infrastructure in place to capitalize on great opportunities, both commercially and residentially. I'm proud that the west side took off. It was Mayor Anderson's vision in 1967 to put a university over there, and that triggered a huge opportunity for this community to grow and prosper. But we have to make sure that the downtown is still the center of our community, and we still have to foster growth in all quadrants of our community. Thank you.
Rob Miyashiro.
Rob?
Tim?
In your view, what is the #1 issue facing Lethbridge as a whole in the next 5 years?
Oh, nice question, Tim. The number one issue facing Lethbridge in the next 5 years probably is that we have to figure out a way to understand how much we're going to grow and how fast. The biggest thing, we're developing new subdivisions in every part of the city, and we have to work with the home builders and the developers and the city and the residents to say how big, how fast. We keep adding great subdivisions, we keep adding amenities in all parts of the city, and yet we talk about wanting a better transportation system, and we want to talk about livability, and yet we continue with our car culture. And that's not a bad thing per se, but what we're doing is we're stretching ourselves out, and we're going to become a mini Calgary in that we're going to have some sprawl. Might not be quite to the same pace. It means it's going to take us 20 minutes to get across the city instead of 7. But probably the one thing that we need to work on together are those issues right there.
Time, please.
Carrie Milder.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi.
We've talked a lot about parking downtown, the issues with it, and the parking meters. And there have been some downtown business owners who made it known that they believe that the parking meters are actually hampering their business. Do you agree with this or disagree? And what should be done to sort of tackle this issue?
Well, I don't think we can probably eliminate parking meters, and I'm not a business owner myself downtown, so I can't say how I would personally feel about that, but I think the parking is just such an issue for the city, for the downtown, that we all have to maybe adjust how we think about parking too, and perhaps the community has to embrace things like parkades and the fact that we might have to walk a block or two to get to where we need to go. But I know that the city is looking at locations for parkades. I think you're going to see a mix always of meters and parkades and that kind of thing. But I don't think that eliminating meters is necessarily going to really solve anything. It is a hassle having to find coin for it, so I absolutely agree with previous comments about having a credit card or a debit card used, because it's much handier, and I've been caught a few times with no change myself. So, but that would be my perspective on that.
Hi, Jolene. Heart of our city has identified a couple deficiencies downtown, like sidewalks, broken trees, damaged light standards. Should the city have an ongoing maintenance budget allocated to downtown to ensure some of these infrastructure issues are kind of dealt with in a timely manner?
Yes, certainly you have to keep them safe and accessible. You just have to be, what I found from visiting some of the bigger cities, particularly after the recession, and those cities still recovering from the recession, which is Lethbridge too. We don't have the economic diversity that some centers do that can recover faster. And but anyway, what I was finding is some of the bigger cities, that I was in Montreal twice this year, and I always go to the old parts of the town. That's what interests me. That's where I like to stay. And I talked to storekeepers there, and the places they said were tarted up too much, and then the property values went up, then the rents went up, and they're stuck in leases, and if they turn the lights on, they're losing money, particularly with when there's a downturn in the market and the tourists are not coming, and they're really suffering. And that's in a big downtown places where there's a huge residential density, huge, and people are...
Rory McKeown.
Rory, if you're elected to council, would you find it worthwhile to ensure that designated funds that are earmarked for the downtown become part of the ongoing base budget in the city of Lethbridge?
Yes, because that's something that I think we need to do, as most people have said up here. The downtown is the heart of our city, and without a vibrant downtown, how do we expect to attract businesses and other citizens or other visitors? Thank you.
George McRae.
Hi, George. We've touched on increasing residential housing near the downtown a couple of times tonight, but I'll ask you, do you identify it as an important factor for the long-term success, economic success of the downtown? And should council provide financial and or tax incentives to encourage development of more residential buildings in downtown core?
I certainly believe in the placing this type of housing in the downtown center. What I feel council should do is they should be providing the framework through zoning, not necessarily tax commitments or tax incentives, but through the zoning and promotion of it. And we also have to take a look at when we want to build these things, if we're on top of another building, if we're going up, we must consult with the landlord or we must consult with the owner to see if it's worthwhile for him to do that. He has to have some sort of return from that, and I just be open to all suggestions, working with the BRZ or the Canadian home builders and developers. Thank you.
Hi, Joe.
Joe Morrow.
We've talked about parking in the downtown and there being a parking crunch, and if there is more residential development in downtown, especially high rises, we're going to see a lot more of a parking crunch. What would you like to see done?
Regarding the parking crunch?
Yeah.
Well, I
kind of like what Portland has, and what they do. I mean, if you build a parkade, you know you're going to get, based on our population, where we have many seniors that just are not able to walk, from one end of downtown to the other. What Portland has done is they have several, and I know this is going to require a lot of land, but we have to try and find a way to do it. They have several different locations where you can park, and then they offer like shuttles that gets you from point A to point B, or free bus service within the downtown core, so that you can park your car in a parkade, and then you don't have to. We have a tendency here that if we're going to go on 7th Street, we want to park on 7th. Then when we want to go to 5th, we move our car and go to 5th. Well, the whole idea is that we leave our car, start getting used to walking, maybe walk 2 or 3 or 4 blocks, so your car then can be safe and sound in one of the strategically located parking facilities that is shared by the business owners and also by the city. Thank you.
Michelle Madge?
Yes, Michelle. Is it possible for a city council to have, in trying to get more businesses to go to like our downtown, is it possible for us to overplan, overrule, over-design, just over-regulate to keep them from not actually coming here?
That's a great question. I think it is possible. If you start putting too many rules in place and limiting the types and amounts of businesses that want to locate downtown, we're not going to be revitalizing it. I think we should encourage, continued communication with the downtown businesses through the BRZ, and make sure that we keep that communication open. And if there are tending to be too many rules sort of being thought of being put in place, I think we should listen to their consultation and go from there. Thank you.
Mark Lieb.
Mark, as Ryan mentioned, going on that theme on my last question, which was his priority of communication to the citizens from the city, and that needs to be improved. How would you, or how can the city communicate better with the citizens?
The city can communicate better with the citizens by going back to old school. We used to, whenever we had issues to deal with, we used to actually go out and engage the community. We'd sit down with the seniors, we'd sit down with the schools when we were talking about transportation, ask them what their concerns are, get feedback from them, and then we'd make a decision. The last couple, actually the last 3 elections, communication's been on the platform for the majority of the people. Why? Because communication hasn't been improved. What's happened is the city now ends up making their decisions. They don't communicate well enough with the public, explaining ahead of time, explaining through the process, getting feedback. What I've done is I've gone out and met with a number of organizations so that I've got those contact people so that if things arise, I know who to contact, and they also know who to contact in council as well, so that we can open that line of communication. We need to use the other forms of media as well to get our message out and not just rely on their website. Thank you.
Kevin Layton.
Yes, Kevin. What would you like to see become of the downtown atrium building now that it's being demolished?
The eyesore finally disappearing. Miracles do happen in Lethbridge. Well, since a lot of people have been talking about housing, how about an apartment building? A lot of people have been talking about low-income housing needing to be happening downtown. An apartment building downtown would definitely be needed. Basement suites below, stores and that really wouldn't be of a benefit for anything. So a high-rise apartment would definitely be a good benefit downtown. and would bring more residents and more people downtown to bring more people downtown to shop downtown and to live downtown.
Liz Iwascu?
I know when I first came to Lethbridge back in the late 90s for college, downtown, the vacancy rates were certainly much different than they are today. Since then, vacancy rates are much improved. Commercial property rates are up, assessments are up. What would you do to help, I guess, continue that upward trend in the city here in downtown?
I think the best thing that City Council can do is to keep funding the organizations that have made this progress. BRZ and the Heart of Our City. They're the experts. They know what they're doing. I know this keeps coming up again and again, but basically, people on council cannot be experts at everything. What we need to do is be able to know who knows how to do this stuff, bring those people to the table, and leave it to them. Give them the funds they need to do their job. Thanks.
I was about to switch spots with Martin. Blaine Higgin.
We need to make the most of it. So, 10.2 million in commercial property taxes on the grand scheme of things for City of Lethbridge, that's not a great deal, but for the individual businesses, that's quite a bit. Only $500,000 per year is currently being allocated for infrastructure improvements. Is that enough? When you look at the size of the downtown, $500,000 doesn't go very far anymore.
It's not accurate.
That's not accurate?
No, it's not. That's for Heart of the City.
That's just for Heart of the City.
That's 465.
Well, is that enough? Is that enough?
I should ask them to come up and answer that question. I was just going to say I guess I got to go back to the whole thing, and I was discussing a little bit earlier out back here with a few individuals that some of these questions are tough to be someone that is running for the position of councillor and is not currently on council, as you can see where the remarks came from, and I guess I have to just end with, if you don't vote for me, you won't get elected. Thank you.
I'm Martin Heavyhead.
Hi, Martin. This might be a tough question for you to answer in just a minute, but what is your vision for downtown Lethbridge?
Well, we know the social issues that are in the city. I see a root problem in being the stagnation that we experience as a culture of Lethbridge. Because when new students come in, the main thing that they tell me is, oh, I've been warned about going downtown. There's all these scary natives down there. What are we going to do about it? They don't even want to really know what to do about it. They're told to stay away. And so that's the first warning sign. There's a culture of stagnation there. However, that is a very complicated issue, and I should actually write about it. I'll write a blog and I'll post that so you can get a fuller, deeper insight onto the social issues that I'll speak of later. But, the Alec Arms Hotel, the refurbishment that was done there, that's absolutely beautiful. And you look at a place like Fort Macleod, a lot of movies, so people that make movies, they like shooting in Macleod because it looks just like how it would have looked like, 50, 60 years ago. So do that.
My name is Dylan Hargreaves, and if you don't vote for me, I won't get elected.
Hi, Dylan.
Hi, Cheryl.
What is the biggest challenge the downtown faces right now?
I think great lengths have been made in how we've responded to downtown, and it's a really beautiful part of our community. I think what we need to focus on, and some of the big things, has to be making the community feel safer. Safety is not always just about physical harm, physical threat. It's about how comfortable people feel. And we need to do what we can to make that more comfortable in our downtown area. I think we need to incorporate a lot more of the culture that makes Lethbridge great. We need to start looking at the small things we can do to make it more vibrant, more lively. Whether it be small things, I know some places are doing pianos downtown, or small mini libraries, take a book, leave a book. Let's create a community, and I think that's a good place to start. So, thank you.
My name is Tyler Shade.
Yes, and Tyler, you mentioned before a definite interest in the arts. Is it possible for us to sell to the majority of the population the need for a performing arts center downtown, and to actually get it up and running without polarizing everyone beyond belief?
Yes, it is. Before I answer the question, I'll also invite you to pick up my brochure out in the lobby. You can find more information about me there. And further to answer the question, yes, people need to realize that when we invest in businesses, as the city business invest in businesses, it derives money back into the economy. The same thing happens when the city invests in arts. And there's a number of studies, and it suggests anywhere between 2.5 to 7-fold investment return back into the economy. Arts is economy. Arts creates economy for the artists that live in Lethbridge, that practice the arts, that attend the arts, and enjoy the arts. They do things like go to dinner, stay here, visit here, use our hotels, they shop here. And it also adds to the vibrancy and the creativity of our community. When you look at people that are professionals and looking for where they want to relocate, the vibrancy of the arts community is one of the things that they take in consideration.
Please.
Yves Gauthier.
Hello, Yves. Continuing on my theme of what is your number one issue, as you stated earlier that arts and related issues was one of your big platform pieces, but other than the arts, what is the number one issue that you would want to address if you're successful?
Anything but the arts?
Anything but.
Anything but. It would have to be parking. Like seriously, I've talked to business owners, and it's been mentioned that, you know, you go and get a schnitzel and you come back and you got a $25 ticket. Do you really want to go back to get to your schnitzel? That was a comment, seriously. So as business owners, like you like to have your customers like drive through almost, like it has to be fluid. And if it's fluid, you've got business going, and money is rushing. So parking parking meters are a necessity. Well, I'm pretty sure we should actually get them lowered and get them really accessible to everybody, like even if you don't have a change. So thank you.
Wade Galloway.
Wade, it's kind of a general question, but in your opinion, what's the biggest challenge facing downtown, and how would you address it?
One of the larger challenges is sort of the urban blight. There are some buildings that have been condemned. We've lost one recently. There are a few that are teetering on the brink. The brown space that was sold, the First Avenue property, Farron Ellis is exactly right. It's a good thing. It wasn't maybe the best use for it, but it's better that something is going in there than nothing. It's property that's been off the tax roll. It's been a loss for the city in terms of potential tax income, and also the economic spin-off with having an active and viable business there. So there are other opportunities in the downtown that certainly need to be embraced, that we do need to make sure that we are revitalizing, and it's a word that's overused, but it truly is an urban blight when there are vacant spots within the community that could be vibrant, that could be being utilized for positive force in the community. Thank you.
Fiona Doherty.
Hi, Fiona.
Hi.
This is a question probably no one wants to hear right now. It's we're a couple of months away from winter, but with winter approaching, should the city invest more in snow removal, particularly in the downtown? I know we had some issues last year with buses getting stuck and things like that. Should the city invest more in snow removal?
I don't know that they should invest more, but they should perhaps be a little more proactive with snow removal, be out there as soon as the snow starts falling. And I know that in other cities, that they equip the city vehicles with plows on the front so that they can all be utilized in plowing and clearing our streets in a timely manner. I think that it's an issue. I think that public safety comes into play when rescue vehicles and police can't get to where they need to go because our streets are too icy and snowy. That's a problem.
Peter Days, and I've decided I much prefer asking the questions as opposed to answering them.
Hey, after decades and decades of being in news, you've had an opportunity to speak with business people. What are some of the biggest issues that you've heard from the downtown people facing them that you feel need to be prioritized and tackled?
Well, I think the business tax certainly is something that, I mean, everyone's going to complain about property tax and that, so that obviously is one. Hate to reiterate the residential part, but we need to get the feet downtown and get people downtown. And I think the other thing is that's also been mentioned before, but just the refurbishing and renovating some of the buildings downtown. If you look at some of the examples, Alec Arms was mentioned, the Dove building, the ATB building. I mean, if you put some effort into it, those buildings actually will attract people downtown, and they actually add to the tax payroll that the city's able to collect. Dove, for example, I mean, they're assessed at over $1 million right now for that property compared to what it was right next to the Dove store originally was supposed to be a strip club. So I think that really shows what can be done.
My name is Jeffrey Kaufman.
Hi, Jeffrey. Could you please provide us with an example of a successful downtown initiative and how that initiative makes our community something we can be proud of?
Can I project to the future a little bit? Because City Council just in the last capital improvement program approved the redevelopment of 3rd Avenue, and it's going to occur between 5th Street and 8th Street. And it's a new design. It's from the Downtown Area Redevelopment Plan, or DARP, as we fondly refer to it as. And the purpose of this is to create a different interaction, a different experience, a different emotion in the downtown core. Another way of incorporating people into the urban experience, into the downtown. It's friendlier for pedestrians, definitely. It's friendlier for cyclists, which is a wonderful thing. It's going to be easier for navigating in and out of parking for those of us that hate to parallel park or don't drive a Ford vehicle that does it for you automatically. It really is about changing the experience, and this is the first of 3 phases that we have planned for the downtown. And I think what you'll find and what you'll experience is a different type of community and a different type of interconnection, not with just the businesses, but with your fellow citizens here. Thank you.
I was projecting into the future.
Sorry, Jeff Carlson. Unless I answer poorly, then Reiko Dodik. He's not here tonight. I can say that.
My question is about panhandling. Some people see it as a deterrence to spending time in the downtown or going into businesses, while others think people singing or playing instruments on the street adds to the culture of downtown. So what do you think, and how should panhandlers be regulated?
Well, I think they're 2 different things. Panhandling, basically just asking for change on the street, is really a turnoff for a lot of people. However, busking, which is I think maybe what, yes, busking, which is I think what you're talking about, I think adds a real sense of vitality and liveliness. There was a fellow down playing banjo the other day, and he had quite, yeah, you saw him, did you? Yeah. He had quite the crowd going. And it was even rainy. So I think it adds a lot of vitality downtown. I know the Allied Arts Council has been very good at organizing folks, making sure they're licensed, so they're not in your face and annoying people, and we know who they are if problems occur. But getting people down there, it's just another added excitement for downtown. I enjoy it. I know a lot of folks do. Hearing the banjo play with the old-timey vest and everything, and the straw hat was awesome, and I'd like to see more of it down there.
Marco Bergeron.
Yes, Marco, you mentioned earlier tonight, you think that we should have free parking downtown. Now, if you got a council and of course you put that up and then you lost, what would be your next idea?
Okay, so they want to say the free parking. It's not free parking for the rest of your life. It's the free parking to invite the business in downtown. And secondly, of course, we're talking about the free parking, but how many artists we have here? How many artists? It's not all a couple one, you know? We need to use the artists too. For Renew, have a nice building. That's a nice design. When I arrive in Lethbridge, I see the big sign, you know, just in front of the SAG, the big design. I say, wow, it's horrible, so it's nice. So I'm coming back about all the time in downtown. I love to come in downtown. So the problem is, where I put more parking? We like to see all the business, but the parking is an issue for now. But when the business were all full, now we could see a nice parking where the people will say with a credit card. We got screening. Sometimes I just stay on front and say, oh, you forgot something. I put myself in directly 25 cents. So the city is lost $25 or $6. So thank you.
I guess to state the obvious, our final 4 speakers will be the mayoralty candidates, starting with Chris Spearman.
And as our moderator said, my name is Chris Spearman.
Chris, even though Lethbridge has many large employers, the city of Lethbridge being one, the U of L, the college, the hospital, small business is very important as well to the community. What would you do as mayor to foster more small business development and support small business?
Well, it's important to have a mayor who believes in business, who has a business orientation, who has a passion for the downtown, who actively walks the talk, who spends time in downtown himself or herself. So I think being part of the downtown is very important. I really enjoy participating in things like the Art Walk, where we walked around to all the businesses downtown, went in the doors, looked at the art, and when I talked to the business owners, they said that was the best day other than Christmas. You know, like it's, if you get involved in the jazz festival and you support what's happening downtown, if you personally do that as the mayor, then you're being a leader downtown. You're motivating people in the community to be there. So that's what I would do as your mayor. I would walk around downtown. I would support our local businesses. The people who invest and provide jobs downtown need to be supported by the people in our community. And I would encourage you to do that, and I will do that personally. Thank you.
Hello, Curtis Simpson.
Hey, Curtis.
Hi.
Is downtown really the heart of the city, in your opinion, or are there other areas of Lethbridge that you would put some emphasis on?
Well, that's kind of 2 different questions. Yes, I think that downtown is the heart of the city, and that's for a lot of reasons. It's the original part of our city. It's the hub of our city. It connects the west, the south, the north, and so that kind of a hub makes it a heart. It's also the cultural hub. We have the Yates down here. We have the New Casa. We have a lot of little theaters and a lot of the entertainment coming from the university to come downtown. We have buskers downtown, so obviously that makes it part of the heart of the city. Do I think other areas of the city need attention too? Absolutely. We can't deny that. We can't say all the attention has to go to the heart of the city. But we can make sure the emphasis isn't the other way, that all of the emphasis isn't towards the suburbs, and that we're ignoring our downtown and allowing deterioration. We want to make sure our heart of the city is growing and is taken care of as well. Thank you.
Bridget Mearns.
Hi, Bridget. We've talked a lot about downtown and downtown revitalization, but I guess can the state do more in terms of attracting industry and large-scale businesses? And I guess if so, how would you like to go about accomplishing that?
Sorry, just to clarify, large-scale businesses to the downtown or
No,
to
like
the
just,
city
just
in general?
Just in general, yeah.
It's a great question. It's something we have to do, and it goes to the idea of diversification in our economy so that the students that are training here have jobs to come to and they can live here and raise their families here and continue to be here. We have to make sure, I think it all comes down to quality of life. the reasons that people live in our city is because it's such a fabulous city to live in. And when people come here to live, they become employees, and those employees then become help businesses thrive. So we have to make sure that we're having the kind of community that these people want to live in, so that we can attract those larger things. The other thing that I think we can do, and this is from a mayoral perspective, is have an advocate for our city outside of our city limits. So have a mayor that actually goes with EDLs on trips and talk to other communities and try to attract businesses in a more active way. We've not seen that happen before. I think it's something that we need to see in our mayor, going outside of the community and actually doing that kind of attraction. This has happened in Ontario, where the mayor of London actually went and attracted some business. So, thanks.
Hello again, I'm Farron Ellis, and apparently I am the last politician you're going to hear from tonight.
So Farron, should City Council be developing comprehensive design guidelines, policies, bylaws specifically for the downtown area, something similar to architectural designs for some residential areas? Or should council be leaving that up to the downtown BRZ and the individual businesses who go towards the downtown?
As Councillor Kaufman already mentioned, we do have a new downtown area redevelopment plan. And that experience was instructive for many people that were involved. When you come up with a grand vision that is going to have, in this case, all businesses front onto the street, you impact the existing businesses, and you, in many cases, devalue their property because you limit the development that they can accomplish under these new plans. So yes, it is important to have specific development guidelines for downtown, but you don't want to be so restrictive that you either choke off development, you devalue the properties that are already there, and you put that extra stress on the businesses that are already there and thriving. So definitely, downtown is the heart of the city. Downtown is important, deserves special attention, but be careful. One size does not fit all.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings to an end this evening's forum. I want to say a very special thanks to our media panel, to our most importantly, our fearless time leaders, importantly, our council candidates, and especially to you. I would encourage you to hang around and interact with the candidates afterwards, give you an opportunity to ask that one special question that you didn't hear but you certainly wanted to. I would remind you to check out downtownlethbridge.com and southernalberta.com on the web tomorrow. And this will be broadcast there. Friday at 2 o'clock, Saturday at 5, and Sunday at 8 on Channel 9 on Shaw TV. And on behalf of the Downtown Business Revitalization Zone, the Public Library, thank you all for coming out. Take care. October 21st.